Hi, I'm Liz from Liz's Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how I took this smaller green wreath and turned it into this red berry wreath. So I'm just going to take it apart, and I'm going to start with a hanger, since that's usually the last thing you put on, and this hot glue that was on here is pretty good. I don't know what kind it is. Probably the Dollar Tree kind, really. That's usually what I had bought back then. So I'm just taking it apart one piece at a time. And I'm not going to throw anything away. We'll use the hanger. Oh, excuse me. We'll use the hanger, but I'll save the other parts for other DIYs. I'm just going to speed this up for you. But yeah, just take everything off of it. We want it down to the bare bones. And I couldn't get the flower off. I finally had to cut it off, and you'll see that in a little bit. That glue was on there pretty good. And then I'm going to kind of fold my ribbon so that it doesn't get all wrinkly. And I'll be able to use that in other craft projects if I want to. So we have that and the beaded portion, and then the little, I guess, little light bulbies. One of them did come apart, and if I do decide to use it in another craft, I'll just glue it back together. No big deal. And there's the hanger. So everything but a couple little pieces, and like I said, that flower is not coming off of there. I'm going to have to get out the scissors and cut it off. That was some good glue. So there's only a couple little pieces of the ribbon that I'm not going to be able to use in other DIYs. So overall, I think it turned out pretty good. And of course, we're going to use the wreath in this DIY. So we're just going to shove those out of the way. There's the wreath. And just going to start decorating it with these berries. Now, all of these berries came from Hobby Lobby a couple years ago after Christmas when they were 90% off. Or actually, it might have been last year. Could have been last year after Christmas because this is all they had left. I kind of missed the 90% off thingy, which kind of bummed me out. But anyway, it's like 3 different sizes of little red berries on stems. And I'm just going to start putting them on the wreath. And at first I tried hot glue. And I didn't really want to put hot glue on it, but I tried it anyway. And it wasn't working for this. So I do cut it down a little bit. Actually thought I cut this part out. Guess not. I'm making you watch it. But I just put the stem down in the wreath itself. And I was hoping that would just kind of hold it in there, but, you know, it didn't work very well because the stem was pretty stiff. And I was having to put it around the wreath. And this is 3-in-1 glue that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I thought, okay, well, this will work, right? We'll use this. The hot glue really didn't work, and I thought, yeah, maybe the 3-in-1 glue will work. Well, the answer to that is no, it did not work. They're just not strong enough to hold these pieces down because they got wires in them and they're sticking out, and yeah, it's not gonna work. And I left this in here basically just to show you, you know, so we try different things. I tried the hot glue, it didn't work. I tried the 3-in-1 glue, it didn't work. And then you'll see what I try next. But I'm gonna hold this and make you watch it. Because, hey, that's just the type of person I am. Isn't that terrible? Man, I really thought I cut this out of here, but I guess I didn't. I don't know what's going on. Oh my goodness. I could have sworn I cut that out. I almost feel like I need to stop this and start over again. But here we go. So the third thing was I tried these little tiny zip ties. And I don't go around the whole wreath. I just go around one piece, one branch, I guess you would say, of the wreath to add my berries on. And guess what? It worked. The zip ties worked. So these are little zip ties. My daughter had given these to me, and I don't know where she'd gotten them. But I thought I would use the red ones since the berries were red. But that's what I do. I just take the zip ties and I put them underneath a piece of the wreath. Not the whole wreath, because I didn't want you to see that all around. Just a piece of the wreath. And then I zip tie my berries onto the wreath. If I can get it in there. You can do it. Here, I take my little scissors and I poke it through. Make it work, girl. There it goes. There it goes. Then you just zip tie it on and go to the next piece. That one there, I left the zip tie a little loose so I could push this other thing of berries through it So I can kind of do two with one. So I didn't tighten it all the way until I had that second bunch of berries in there. And then I do trim off my zip ties as I go along. That way they don't get in the way of me putting other stuff on. I'd been wanting to make one of these berry wreaths for a long time and just hadn't got around to doing it. And then I saw my green wreath as I'm getting ready for a craft show. And I'm like, you know what? I've had this green wreath for quite a while. I've put it out in my craft shows and nobody wanted to buy it. So I thought, you know what, I should recreate it, and I have all these berries, and I should finally make the berry wreath that, you know, I've been wanting to make. So basically, I'm just going to let you watch what I do here. Hopefully you can see it. Basically just using the little zip ties and adding the berry stems on. And you do want to pull the zip ties pretty tightly. Now, some of these berries, you know, are, of course, they're styrofoam. And, you know, when you pull them apart, sometimes you see the white part. And I'll show you towards the end how I fix that. And, of course, if you don't want to watch me put the zip ties in through the wreath and then add the berries on, you can skip ahead to the end of it to see the, actually I do some different stuff later on without the zip ties. So you might want to just scroll ahead or not. It's up to you. I mean, I kind of just left this in for people who want to see how I go about putting these on all around the wreath. Okay, right there I just used a little bit of hot glue to put that piece in. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. You just got to find out which pieces go into which spot the best. And I believe all in all, it took me a little less than an hour from where I took the old wreath apart until I finished this wreath. So a little less than an hour. So I mean, that's not too bad, really. And there, it's not quite halfway done. Just trying to figure out which way looks best on my wreath. And I did struggle a little bit from time to time trying to get the zip ties up between the pieces of the wreath wood, whatever you call it, I'm not sure. And I just used those little scissors, and actually they're just little fingernail scissors to help push the zip tie up underneath the little strand of wood piece, I guess. It's not really a grapevine wreath. Maybe a reed wreath. I don't even know where I got it. I've had it forever. Okay, that piece I'm adding a little bit of hot glue to. But I didn't use too much hot glue. So if you have a DIY that you don't particularly like, or if you go to sell it and nobody wants to buy it after you've had it out there several times, you can always take it apart and use those pieces and turn it into something new. So don't just throw it in the trash. Redecorate with it, or restore it, reuse it. Probably reuse, I guess. I'm trying to break this one apart. Look at that. And I got that sped up 2 times and I just couldn't break it. Couldn't break it. Had to move on to another piece. Some of it had wire in it and some of it, in places didn't have wire. So, just had to try it and see. And then I don't know where my wire cutters are. They just walked off one day. We're almost done, a little bit more. Of course, if you didn't want your berries to go all the way around, you could stop here and put a bow in there. But I just want a wreath with berries all around it. But yeah, I don't know what happened to my wire cutters. They just disappeared. And it's just me over in the craft room. Nobody else, just me. So I don't know if they fell off the table and I just can't find it because, yeah, the craft room's kind of messy. I hate to say that because a few years ago my daughter did help me clean it up and it looked pretty good and it stayed that way for a little while, but oh, just kept buying stuff and oh, I have to quit buying stuff. That's all there is to it. I say that and then I run out to the store and buy some more. Are you guys like that? Oh my gosh. Sometimes I hate myself. Why are you doing this, Liz? You got stuff there to use. And then you see this stuff and you're like, but it's so pretty, I gotta have it. I'm gonna use it, I gotta have it. Well, you know, I guess someday I will use it. But I think I have done better this year. I think I've bought less craft supplies this year than I have in the past. I hope I'm not lying. I hope that's true. I feel like it is. So now that I have, as you can see, all the wreath kind of covered with my berries, then I'm just going to go through and see if there are any places where I need to add more. And of course there are, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. Still using the zip ties. And a little bit of hot glue if needed. And if you can believe this, I still had a bunch of those berries left over after this project. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So now I switched to my 3-in-1 glue. And this glue, I mean, it's kind of stringy like hot glue is. But, you know, you don't burn yourself with it, so that's a plus. It's $5.99 a bottle at Hobby Lobby, which, I mean, it lasts a pretty good time. So I'm going to use it and just fill in the spaces where I think there need to be more berries. So there, I'm just pointing out another spot where I want to add some berries. And the little tiny berries, they're a lot darker than the other berries, but they're all reddish. The medium and the larger berries are more of a brightish red, and the little smaller ones are like a dark red. But they all go together pretty well. In fact, they were all together in the bunch from Hobby Lobby. If you see that one long stem there, all of those are on that stem, and I would just, you know, cut them off. So this piece I did add a zip tie to it. Now I want to say this is where I start covering up the ends to the zip ties with the berries. And I'll just be using the 3-in-1 glue for that. And it does hold up pretty good, I have to say. So I'm pointing to those ends from the zip ties there, and we're going to start covering those up. Of course, that's not even where I was pointing to. So we're going to go to another area and cover that that up before we get to the area I pointed to. So I'm just going to put the 3-in-1 glue on the back of this cluster of red berries, and I'm going to put that right on top of the end of that zip tie, just to cover that up, because I don't want those to be seen. If there's some on the back side of it, I don't mind, but I don't want it on the front of the wreath or the side. And I really don't think there were any on the back, to be honest. I think I used the front pieces of the vines or whatever it was, and so the zip tie didn't even go to the back. But yeah, I just cut off little clusters and start gluing those on top of the zip tie ends, covering those up. Okay, there I'm pointing out one of them. That's going to be the next one to get covered up. Well, hopefully. Or heck, I might go to another area instead because I pointed that one. Well, no, I guess I'm going to actually do this one. You go, Liz. You go. You do it, girl. There's another one. But again, it's kind of like a puzzle, so you need to make sure you get the right pieces to do the right job. I make sure I go around the whole wreath and cover up those ends. Trying to find just the right piece. You can do it. And I think that's the one. That's the one. So this glue adheres pretty quickly to your berries there. You just have to hold it down just a little bit for it to catch it. It's kind of like hot glue in that sense. It does kind of melt the color off the berries for some reason, though. I don't know why. Kind of weird. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm just checking to make sure there's no more zip tie ends that I missed. And now I'm going to take some white acrylic paint from Apple Barrel and a fan brush. And I'm going to try to get most of the paint off of the brush. So I'm just doing it on the top of the container. And then I'm very lightly going over some of the berries with the paint. That way it'll blend in those berries where you see the white shining through, where the painted part got ripped off. So this will look like it has a very light brushing of snow on it. So I only dipped the brush in the paint that one time. And I pick it up and go around more along the bottom edges there. Just on the berries. I don't do the wreath itself. And so I feel like that looks pretty good. And now all that's left to do is put a hanger back on. So like I said, we're going to use the same hanger that we took off the wreath when we deconstructed it. And I'm actually going to use zip ties to tie it on. So I'm just going to go under a piece of that wood there, whatever it is, I don't know. And then make sure that I put the zip tie above the knot so that it's not going to slip. And then I just pull it tight. Do the same thing to the other side, only the other side I had to put it in between two of the wreath pieces because they were closer together and I couldn't get it underneath the one, so I had to put it under two. But it doesn't matter. And again, you want to make sure that you put your zip tie above the knot. And that way it's not going to slip out. Just pull it tight and cut off the excess and we are done. So you'll have to let me know what you think of my little wreath here, my little berry wreath. I think it's kind of cute. I mean, it turned out pretty good. I'm not mad at it. I think it looks better than the other wreath, but you'll have to let me know. So here it is, hanging on my wall. Not too bad. And again, I'm Liz with Liz's Crafts, and if y'all like what you see, give me a comment or a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe to my channel, and all that is free.